Hey everyone, it's 6 o'clock on the dot. Welcome to Pine Grove News Live. And let me start by playing that. And we'll play this. All right. Hope everyone's doing okay. It's Wednesday. It is July 17th, 2019. And I'm pretty sure I said this is the East Coast. So, trying to think what was pretty much in the news today. And we'll go over just a couple points. All right. I'm just checking to see if the YouTube is live. Been a little slow in some areas. That's my that's on my side. Anyways, so it's there we go. I had to refresh it. I don't know my side. Yep. So I got audio. Everything over there is working great. So I don't know, some points today. Let's go. So remember us. We were saying, or I said that America, is the number one, I guess, when it comes to the UN sanctions against other countries. And America has, as far as I know, has never had sanctions levied against it. I know our what do you call it, economic rating was downgraded during the Obama era. I think it was from an A++ to an A+, something like that. Yeah. So, but I'm hearing things from China. China is going to hit back because of those sanctions we put against that Chinese company here, and I forget the name of it at the moment. The tech company. It's causing a big stir, and China's losing a lot of money. So China's going to start sanctioning U.S. companies in China. So that could be a problem. I've heard that, yeah, you can end up having companies move out of China. Anyway, so for whatever plan is going on, Trump, I guess he is, he did write the book, The Art of the Deal. I've never read it, don't plan on reading it. But that's one thing that's out there. And the fact that there are impeachment proceedings that at least the, what do they call them? Oh, the squad, the Democratic squad, the four ladies there. Apparently, they have started those impeachment proceedings, and Pelosi's not with them. She just, for some reason, and it's probably she's been in office for a long time, so she knows a little more, is a little smarter. In any case, that's what's going on. And we do have a headline here about this Ebola that we've been talking about. Ebola has now been declared a global threat. And, that should validate some of Florida Maquis' messages out there. He's been following it for a while now. And it has spread to another city that has at least 1 million to 2 million people in it. And that could be a big deal. So we're going to keep following that. With that, we'll get started with, let's look at the weather, because we're under severe thunderstorm warnings here. Right now they got us at 90 degrees, and I feel like 96. All I can say was that it's pretty darn hot. I mean, when I, go outside and just walk a half a mile, which is what I got to do, go back and forth to buildings. Um, you know, I don't know. I just don't like the heat and the humidity. Just felt like, right away that my legs were cramping up, uh, pretty hard to walk. But in any case, I got this on the screen from AccuWeather. I mean, they're calling for after today and yesterday, the day before, they're calling for, let's see, 95 plus on Thursday, in the hundreds on Saturday. But tomorrow, it's going to be 76 degrees. I don't get that at all. One day and less than that because it's still pretty hot right now, and it's raining. A little bit of thunder here and there, but to be that 76 degrees really after right in the middle of a heat wave, one day 76 degrees, that's very unusual. That just to me just sounds like it's just a warning that's going out, flashing, something is not right here. In any case, let's get on with the news. So that's the weather here and what's going to be happening. And I don't know why I keep getting this. I think it's Firefox. It's not my data rate here because it's usually pretty good. But I'm getting warnings that Firefox is having a hard time waiting for a page or something to load. But anyway, enough of the problems here. Let's keep going. Yeah, there's been some slow ups here and there. I don't know if it's intentional or something's going on. But in any case, we will go on. Either case, even if the power goes out, this thing does run by battery, and it does last. It's a short time. Probably only last about an hour, but that's all we need, right? So we'll go on to world Israel news. We'll start there. I have not seen too much weather out there in the news, but there are weather, of course. Well, we'll start the way I collected it, I guess, the way it's set up right now. This far right group in Italy is found in possession of air-to-air missile. Missile with, it's singular, it's not plural. How Italy, this far right group, we got to worry about those things. I heard also that Iran was caught selling some of this excess, whatever it was. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it had definitely to do with the nuclear program, trying to sell to somebody off the books. That could be a big problem. I mean, I'm going to go back to this story. This story is an old story, and this is from the New York Post. This was given to me by somebody, I don't know, it was at least a couple weeks ago. It actually says July 11th, 2019, but I believe the story is older. So anyway, it's from the New York Post, and it has a lot to do with this, we're talking about this nuclear stuff. Because someone gave it to me, thinking that this was that nuclear sub that supposedly, had fire and killed 14 members of the 25 and so on and so forth. So this is not that story. This is not that sub. This is another one. But he gave it to me thinking it was that story and trying to tell me that the sub actually sunk. And I said, no, it didn't sink. That's how you had survivors, okay? But anyway, this story about this sunken nuclear submarine, the headline reads, leaking radiation into the sea up to 800,000 times normal level. I don't know what the, excuse me, the normal level is of a nuclear submarine leaking into, I believe it's the Norwegian Sea. I don't know. But there's a normal level. I know we have radiation all around us. We have, this natural radiation, but this is not that. So they got a picture of this remotely operated vehicle called a Gear. Examines this wreck of a Soviet nuclear submarine, Cosmoletets, southwest of Bear Island in the Norwegian Arctic. So anyway, scientists have identified a radiation leak on the wreck of the Russian nuclear submarine that sank in the Arctic waters in 1989. I mean, immediately I pointed, this date to the provider of this article. And so, just to make sure that he knows that it's not the sub that he thought it was. But in any case, sank in 1989. And my only thing with this story, as I read, further down, was, first of all, it's leaking radiation. And everybody's wondering why all these mass deaths in, aquatic life, in the Atlantic, the Pacific, with Fukushima, and the prophecy of the oceans boiling away. Now, I believe that's still going to be in the the last day when the Lord actually comes and everything will be burnt with the fervent heat, just of his the intensity of his brightness when he comes. In any case, this thing resting at a depth of 5,577 feet, leaking this. But the other thing is that it has, I believe it's 2 nuclear missiles still on the submarine. Now, I don't know why they can't get down there since 1989. I mean, this is not the only 2 nuclear missiles. At least they know where those 2 are. There are other ones that throughout, I don't know how long, 10, 20, 30 years. There have been a few of these nuclear missiles, supposedly. I say supposedly because there's this, what do you call it, conspiracy out there that nuclear weapons don't exist at all. It goes to my my wondering, my thoughts anyway, on what happened to all the nuclear radiation from all these tests throughout the years. Thousands and thousands of tests. I have a kind of like a map count up, to how many detonations there were and tests. It's a pretty awesome little program. But in any case, there are a few, that's all I can say is there are a few nuclear weapons that are unaccounted for. Some are missing. And it doesn't bode well if these are actually nuclear missiles and if they exist. In the wrong hands, obviously, it's going to create huge problems, or it will create an ability for someone to use, I'll say, false flag. Doesn't mean that it won't happen or it hasn't happened. It just means that it was perpetrated not exactly how they say it was. But in any case, I mean, you still got the Illuminati cards out there to say that London, the Tower of London or the Big Ben will be attacked by a nuclear bomb. They still got the money, on American money that says that New York, will at least be attacked with a tsunami, maybe caused by a nuclear weapon off the coast. You got people talking about Japan and earthquakes in Chile and Mexico that have been purposely, set off with nuclear weapons. I mean, of course it's possible. You know why? All the tsunami is a displacement of water, right? You get a pretty good sized nuclear bomb to go off down, let's just say at some, very deep edge of the cliff type thing and blow off a nuke down there. You will not only have the earth move, you'll have water being displaced. And some people said that that's what happened in Fukushima. There's a lot of proof. There's more proof on the one in Fukushima than any other one. Video, pictures, satellite imagery, all kinds of stuff. And yes, they all can be manipulated. They all can be now. I still don't see how they can do, manipulate video on the fly. I've seen somebody try to do it, but you can definitely recognize them doing it. So they haven't perfected that yet anyway. But yes, you can manipulate video once it's already been recorded. That is easy. In any case, I just wanted to bring you that because it was in my head. All this stuff that's going on with Iran and nuclear weapons or not, they pose a real danger. I mean, a nuclear weapon is basically just an enormous amount of TNT. And I don't know what those initials mean. Used to, but I do not know. But that's all it is. TNT. Dynamite, In any case, that's my conspiracy theory. Well, actually, it's not mine, actually. I'm just agreeing with someone else who pretty much convinced me of it, so far. In any case. Yeah, so we don't need these things. And it's going to happen more. This is only one that they decided to show you. Okay, these far right or far left groups, whatever it is, they're not, going to go along with the norm. They're radicals in either direction. Just like that, I don't know, Dem Squad. In any case. Yeah, they're radicals. You got to believe that they're radicals, right? They want to bring socialism into this country. Hasn't worked anywhere else. It may have in Venezuela, like we've been talking about. Florida Marquis talks about it too. I mean, sometimes I think that he is for this type of socialism too, but then he changes my mind. In any case, I believe that's what Jesus is bringing, right? It's like going to be a form of socialism, I guess. But it's going to be kind of like, I think, a little bit of socialism and a little bit of capitalism. Only in the sense that, Jesus says that, if you work the field and you make wine, it's your vineyard, you reap the benefits of it, not somebody else. I mean, it's not like you have to go out and make all this wine and you only get 50% of the benefits, and the other 50% you got to give to somebody else, either for taxes or whatever, what do you call it? Distortion, extortion, things like that. That's not the way it's going to go. And those people, who don't want to work, they won't be getting anything. No, they won't. There's not going to be any cripples. There's not going to be anybody, some may be still delusional in a sense. Still going to have that, I guess. I mean, look, Lucifer was made perfect. He was made one of the most beautiful angels in that realm, in heaven, and still, went to his head. He became delusional once he started thinking that way. I believe, that's what I get from it anyway. I mean, maybe I'm reading it wrong. Maybe there's another way, but we won't know until it happens. We do know that it's going to be a just world. As long as you follow, what Jesus puts down, his way, his way or the highway, basically it. Yeah. It'll be a much, much better world, except for those people who don't want to have anything to do with Jesus or that system. And obviously, they'll be doomed to that second death. Yep. So, yeah, these weapons of war in people's hands that shouldn't be, yeah, they've already, got them or getting them. You're talking about biological, you're talking about all these other kind of weapons. Sure, they have them. I believe maybe even somebody's, holding it back. So here, like I spoke before, Iranian nabbed trying to sneak nuke enrichment components out of the U.S. So yes, sanctions that we put against them are put there to prevent behavior like this, which endangers our country. And obviously, Iran, proud nation like America, um, yeah, that's something that our father does not like at all. We all know that as followers of Jesus. Yeah, so nabbed, yeah, I don't know what they're doing. Somebody along the line, obviously, they want war so that they can, make money and whatever. I think the biggest deception is that this is what they're telling everybody. The war machine must have war. You must have war to destroy the implements of war to make more implements, to make more money. Why do you think we're having all these storms that go and target, this flooding specifically, okay? That ruins a lot of things. All those cars that have been underwater, you can't sell them anywhere else. They have to be destroyed. That water gets into the wiring and that's it. Rust and everything else. I mean, you can totally gut the whole thing, but what's the sense? It's been written off, okay? The car industry's been in trouble for years. In any case, yeah, you can't sell them. You can't. There's a lot of things that you're going to have to replace. We talked about this. It's a way to stimulate the economy, so to speak, right? At the um, what do you call it? At the people, homeless people now, and people who are suffering during all this. This is what I'm talking about. You know, they're suffering. They don't care whether you're suffering or not. They don't care what you're going through. They just want you to keep buying things. It's one way to force you to do it, whether by insurances or whatever. And we'll just, bail out the insurance companies again, bail out the bankers, the ones who have all the money, but we're going to bail them out. You're going to listen to that. You're going to believe that one again. Seriously? And I don't know, man. I can go into talking to you about this person too, Ihan Omar, and the other two Muslims. I know one other one. She does not wear this. I don't know what you call it, the habub. Yeah, excuse me. Yeah, this little headdress. I mean, yeah, the Bible does talk about covering the hair and doing other things with it. But there was a reason to cover the hair because it is the glory of a woman. And supposedly, if you have it uncovered, especially in maybe a church setting, or what do you call those places where the Jewish go? Little things like that, I forget. So worry about this chem spraying poisoning. But in any case, she's going to introduce a pro BDS resolution in Congress. See, these four women, they're just the head of the snake that is in our government now. Just like Hamas, got into the Egyptian government and so on and so forth. So, dogged by persistent accusations of anti-Semitism. U.S. lawmaker Ayan Omar announced her intention to introduce anti-Israel legislation. Legislation. I'm thinking of legislation and registration at the same time. So, wow, you know, in the House of Representatives. Um, so she plans to introduce this week a resolution in support of the anti-Israel BDS movement. And I don't know what that movement is, what the BDS is for. All I know is that wow, how she's allowed to do that. You know, I was just in an argument, so to speak, disagreement on my daily call from California about a governor over there in California that people want to, I guess he says, a recall vote or something like that. I didn't know that once someone was elected, they couldn't take him out of office. They couldn't because of their election. Now, if they were hired or something like that, they can go and fire them. You remember the post office worker? I think it was a post office worker who wouldn't sign documents for same-sex marriage, whatever, however, whoever it was. I don't know if it was a post person or not. Maybe it was just a town clerk. But they wanted to fire her. And then they found out that she was elected and they couldn't fire her. So in any case, I don't know what's going on in California. I've never heard of that being done. I don't see why not. I don't see, the only thing I can't see is that if a person was elected, you know, because this happens all the time. I mean, there's 60 million people out there right now that do not like Trump, that want him out of office. That's not the majority. Okay, so I don't know how that works. He said something like 10% is all you need, or what is it, 100,000 votes or signatures to look into this, to have a ballot brought up. Not that I like it, but I'm learning. So why can't they just, these people were elected too. I'll just get them out of office. There is enough people out there, believe me. So why isn't it being done with these four, or at least two of them that I know that need to go? This one and AOC. Any case, anti-Semitic, anti-American. That's all I ever hear from these women is just totally bashing Trump. That'd be the number one. And then bashing America is wrong. America needs to be changed. We know how it needs to be changed. And in their change, they sit on the top panel. They'll be taking care of all their lives because they're at that level. That's socialism. And then everyone else below that, they all have to share everything. Well, you know how socialism works. Let's move on so I don't, bore you to death. This right here from the week, the World Health Organization, you already heard me talk about this, declares Ebola outbreak global health emergency. It's time for the world to take notice. It most certainly is. If this is the disease that has a mortality rate of 90%, are you hearing that, people? 90%. Where have you heard that before? Georgia Guidestones, 500 million, a manageable number, out of 6.5 billion. What's 90% of that? Bet you it's about 6 billion. Just guessing. Hear that number a lot. I hear, you guys all know that if, the grid goes down, within the first year, 90% of the population will die, mostly of starvation. Yep. 90%. That's the number they're going for. We'll keep following this Ebola outbreak. I'll keep bringing you news and video and data from Florida Maquis. I listen to him daily. Not all that I like. I don't listen to his Antarctica stuff. Some of that stuff it's kind of like when he talks about the Antarctic, It's kind of like people pointing, Mars pictures to you and saying, "Hey, see this little rock over here? Well, it looks like an alien walking to me, so there must be somebody on Mars." That's the kind of stuff. I mean, really. I mean, if you put that into somebody's head, yeah, they're probably going to see an alien walking, out of that rock. You know, you go to any, place that has all that stuff, and it's just a difference of, shades of brown. You can make up some things just like clouds. I mean, I used to lay down on the ground when I was hitchhiking and look up into the clouds and just see what kind of things I could make out of the features of the clouds. Can't do that anymore. Well, mostly it's all chemtrailed. You know, unless it's a true storm coming like we had. You have those big cumulus clouds rising up that look all puffy. You know, so we'll keep an eye out on that. And this is probably biblical too. This is from the end time headlines. Bird attacks are turning violent this summer. Well, it's in the Bible. I went actually looking for it, beast of the field, as a search parameter. It is in the Bible as far as prophecy. These beasts of the field, these creatures that God made, they're going to start attacking human beings. They've actually done it, before the flood. When they first started building cities, I mean, that's one of the reasons why they built these cities is because of the animals to separate them. But for the most part, they stay in their surroundings and don't wander into human populations. But you're going to hear about more of these attacks. I mean, this is a true story, crazy. For some reason, I've got big, huge flies, black flies, but they're just big. They're probably, like the size, I would say, of my index fingernail, which is still pretty big. But there were like 8, in between, I'd say between 5 and 8 at a time, buzzing around the screen on the inside. So I'm saying, how do those flies get into this house, that many, that big, so quickly? So I just opened up my screen, let them all out. They got out, closed the screen. A couple hours later, and I've also done it the next day, go back, and there's still more flies. Where are they coming from? Check the garbage, nothing in there. Not the first place you go to in a warm temperature. So I, checked it. I checked a few places. I could not figure out where they were coming from, and this has happened before. So, but in any case, do you remember those? They call the Zap fly swatters that actually electrocuted them. And you put batteries in it. So, I'm sitting in my office on my computer, and there's this one just buzzing around me. So annoyed like I can get, I took that zapper and I zapped the fly. He didn't die though, or she, or it, whatever. Didn't die, but you know what? Came back. I don't know, a couple of hours or so later, maybe longer. Didn't know where the fly was, but the fly knew where I was. That's the first time that I was ever attacked by a fly. I mean, this fly actually dove at my head, and it's like it was, making that very fast buzzing sound. I mean, it was moving around like crazy to do something. It was like I was being attacked. It's just crazy. I don't know if you've ever had something like that happen to you all, but it was like, I mean, these people, these flies, what they remember? I mean, yeah, if you're going to get struck by, electric shock or something, I guess that would make you remember, or at least grow some memory cells to remember. Who knows? But that was just crazy. And, then I get this bird attacked, and there's been other attacks. This is part of the signs of the things that are coming, of is coming, I would say. And this, I just wanted to pick up. This is also from End Time Headlines. Pentagon ordered to reveal to Congress if its scientists used diseased ticks as biological weapons, and if any escaped the lab. Ticks. So originally from the Sun, this U.S. military chiefs have been ordered to reveal whether they use diseased ticks in sick biological warfare experiments. I wouldn't doubt it. Sure, they've done a lot of stuff. I know that Africa is, I keep calling it the petri dish. I mean, that is the place to go over and test biological, other, weapons. I do believe that they test these things over there. They've tested it here in our populations, even, way back when they first started spraying bugs, mosquitoes, pretty far back, probably soon after the Second World War. But anyway, this bill passed the House of Representatives, requires the Pentagon to investigate whether further researchers infected the insects in the 1970s. So this is going all the way back then. I mean, I was 12 years old then. And if any were let loose. It comes after a bombshell new book claims the Defense Department was behind the spread of Lyme disease between 1950 and 1975. Congressman Chris Smith, who added the amendment to a military spending bill, said, "We need answers and we need them now." So the bill orders officials to conduct a review of whether the Department of Defense experimented with ticks and other insects regarding use of a biological weapon between those years. So we'll have to update you on that. Sorry, because they'll probably omit to it, but it'll probably take 500 pages to tell you about it. Bore you so much that you just forget about that they deliberately experimented with these ticks and then released them on the population. They've done it with the what do you call that? When they were experimenting with the mosquitoes and that disease that young women with babies. Man, I can't remember the name of that darn disease now too, that affected the babies. Oh man, somebody know? Please tell me. And I know what it is. I just can't get it out at this moment. But. So, anyways, yeah, everyone's predicted this major heat wave expected to bake 2/3 of the nation through this weekend. 2/3 of it, 229 million. And I know that, I know some people in Tennessee, they've been experiencing a lot of this heat stuff, that and the floods. I mean, just crazy stuff. Just getting so, maybe that's what they're trying to do, just make us numb to all this. We're already numb. I mean, with the lithium and other things that they've been putting in these chemtrails that, my own brother thinks I'm imagining. Well, it's not necessarily that he thinks I'm imagining it. He wants, in order to be perfectly sure that it is chemtrails and that they are doing it, he wants to know the state, the town that they flew over, what time of day, what altitude they were at, what color was the chemtrails, or whatever. I mean, I don't blame him for wanting all the data. Yes, and he expects that, like we all do, that people who especially me, who put out the news, that we don't just put out the news just for the sake of putting it out. That we actually vet, which means we research to make sure that But if I had that time and all that stuff, I mean, yeah, then I'll end up doing 2 or 3 stories instead of 30. But, they would be pretty well detailed, right? Or at least what Google would give me, unless you go somewhere else. Yeah, so National Weather Service. Okay, it wasn't AccuWeather. Many of those areas could see the hottest temperatures of the year. Yep, it will be for us. Thanks to a large dome of high pressure. Yeah. You ever see that show, Under the Dome? It was pretty good the first year. After that, they just went crazy with it. Like most science fiction type movies like or shows like that. I mean, you get into things that you know could, may possibly happen, and then it gets really weird and gets into, you know, uh, just dark stuff. So yeah, 229 million. Well, next couple days up into the weekend. And so this is the only earthquake that I've known that I saw out there so far. I guess there are other smaller tremors going on, as I was informed by World Watchman along the East Coast. I'm sorry, the West Coast. So strong 5.3 magnitude earthquake strikes off coast of Oregon. I mean, that's almost normal, isn't it? And then, of course, all those tremors. Are they tremors or are they aftershocks? That's the whole thing, right? That's what we've learned this weekend or this week in California, especially. When they got that 6-pointer and they thought that was the earthquake. Yeah. But, I guess it was later on that day, that evening, maybe even the next day. Then they got the 7-pointer. That was the earthquake. Of course, now some people are still saying, well, that was just a tremor too. So the tremor comes before the earthquake, before a, big earthquake. And then, of course, all the ones after it are aftershocks. Aftershocks. Anyway, we can talk about that some more later too. But yeah, rumbling is still going on over there on the West Coast, and they are still expecting the big one. So, from the end of American Dream, a bacterial invasion? People all over the East Coast are suddenly being attacked by flesh-eating disease in 2019. Yeah, we've talked about this past week. A lot of people, well, not a lot of people, a few people that we've actually, that's been in the headlines, were from Florida. Okay, but they do mention a couple of the places in here. That's the only reason I picked this up. I believe one of them, right here, was in Tennessee, or a Tennessean man. But all along the East Coast. So I haven't really found that out yet. Because he's talking about, right, the East Coast. Now, the East Coast is not just Florida. See, even this man went to the Florida Panhandle. So I believe it's, Florida. You got to watch out for this thing. I mean, there's nothing you could do about it. You can't see it coming. So, I mean, what else can you do to prevent this type of thing? Well, you don't go in the water. Don't go in the water, especially where many other people have gone. I think that may be a determining factor. How many people have been in this water and what the water's used for. I mean, a couple of them, I believe, two of them have been at theme parks. So, anyways, there's nothing we can do about a lot of it except pray. I mean, really, there's nothing you can do about getting Ebola. There's no. I heard today that you can't prevent Ebola unless you go and test yourself tomorrow, when you have no symptoms. But that only means that you don't have Ebola at that testing. I mean, some of these, what do you call it, indicators that you may have it, is just like the flu, fever, headache. They're talking about, what was the other one I was just going to say? Oh, the rashes. Yeah, remember the rashes. I mean, if you start getting a rash, I mean, obviously it may be too late by the time you get that. I don't know. But in any case, it's all up. Pray on it. Just pray on it, man, because if this rash from Ebola can equal or look the same as three other, maybe not necessarily um, as with a 90% mortality rate like Ebola, but like dengue fever and what was the other one? Anyways, those are not, they don't have those mortality rates. Measles, okay? Apparently, a lot of people have measles all over the world, but they're not really dying from it, unless we're not being told something. And that's most certainly, uh, one factor. But they did have that warning, that world warning now. I think we just went past that. If not, we'll get to it. This I wanted to put out just because they told me to. It's an Amber Alert. By the time it gets out, maybe they've been found. I don't know. But this Amber Alert is issued for two kids kidnapped from Arizona, state custody. Children believed to be in danger. Now, I guess these are the parents. And all I can say is they look fake. The parents' pictures. I mean, the mother, that looks fake. I mean, they're all done behind a blue screen there. And I'm sorry. I mean, one has a shadow. The guy's ears has a shadow. So that may look, somewhat real. But this one right here with the woman does not look real at all. Looks like it was copy and pasted and all kinds of stuff. But anyways, these are the children right here. Pinal County, Arizona. This Amber Alert has been activated for two young children who were reportedly taken by their parents from Arizona Department of Child Safety custody Tuesday morning. Florence PD is looking for Blaze Kirkley, 2 years old, with brown hair, green eyes, 2'9" tall, and weighing 28 pounds. I don't see how you can tell if somebody weighs 28 pounds by just looking at him. Well, close, I guess. And Ryder Kirkley, 4 months old, with brown hair and green eyes, 2'1" tall, and weighing 15 pounds. The children were last seen in Florence, Arizona, and are believed to be in danger. Well, if the child services or whatever took them, that was the reason why they had them. But in any case, I've seen child services just come in and take kids just because they want them. It's a scheme, I believe, with a lot of these places that it is a way to take the children and what do you call that? It's part of the slave trade, the human trafficking thing that's been going on. That most of our political elites and other people, world-renowned leaders, all this stuff, they're all part of it. They think that they can do anything they want, and that includes peddling flesh to meet their needs. Love Island. Yeah, so this one from Activist Post, Universal Basic Income, the nail in the coffin. Yeah, we've talked about this before. We know Elon Musk thoughts on that, and that guy just gets stranger and stranger. He's also talking about, I think we have it out here too, about integrating human brains with the AI, and he says a lot of times that we really should watch what the heck people are doing with this AI, and basically he's saying, I heard him say, you better pay more attention to me and what we're doing, because it could be very bad for you. And then people just laugh it off. He's just a crazy genius. Anyways, so universal basic income, and I believe that it was like 900, but down here it tells me that it is 500. a month right here. Stockton, California is already experimenting with residents of the city by giving them $500 per month as a basic income to see if this test holds up and proves to be beneficial. I can tell you right off the bat that this is going to create an environment that rewards unproductive behavior. Yeah. So does a welfare program. Yeah. Until they, at least here in Connecticut, when they instituted um, a new rule, where the recipient of the welfare uh, had to go to work. Yeah, if they were going to get this free money, I mean, they would supply, babysitting, whatnot, daycare, and the recipient had to go to work. I agree with that totally. But a lot of these people don't do that. They have the baby, and then they have more. That's plain and simple. They have more to get more money and sit around and do nothing longer. They don't really. I can't say, so a lot of them do. I've heard and seen, these families, and in some cases, these families live together. They have like 2, 3 families. You wonder why these people on welfare drive around, well, at least in my time when I was younger, were driving around in Cadillacs and expensive cars. Well, because they got, 3 families living together, and they're creating, they're getting a lot of money, plain and simple. And of course, they have money to do other things, invest, sort of, you know, buy and sell drugs. Yeah. Anyways, yeah. I mean, this is probably what they told all those people, in Honduras and El Salvador and all those places. Yeah, come to America. We will give you basic universal income. You will have, health insurance benefits much more better than Americans themselves. Yes, they will, and they do. If you only vote this way, but you have to vote this day. We'll even give you licenses. You don't even have to tell us if you've been arrested or not. You don't even have to give us your real name. We'll believe you. Just fill out this paperwork, and we will give you a driver's license. And then you go register to vote. That's what that's all about, plain and simple. Natural news. Big pharma stocks values plummet after President Trump announces executive order on drug prices. Yeah, he's been talking with them a lot. They've also been under congressional hearings. Big pharma, they do. I don't know. Anybody who takes medicine can't afford them. I mean, a lot of us, take it for granted. We have insurances, and the insurance company pays for that. And you have to pay, some kind of co-pay, $5, $25, depending on your insurance. But if you don't have insurance, like I don't, because they increased mine 100%. I went from, paying $156 a month for our insurance and signed up, and then they told me I had to pay $1,700 and change a month. I don't know, that is 100%, right? A little over 100% increase, or is that 1,000%? In any case, it took all my income that I was working, and I couldn't afford it, couldn't get it. This way, I'd be going to work just for healthcare coverage. It made no sense to me, so I don't have it, and I get paid. I have to pay, the cost of getting some of these prescriptions. One of them alone was over $300. Yeah, but there is some help. There was some help in that, but in any case, good for Mr. Trump. I don't know what he's getting out of it. Part of his plan, as long as it works for the people who can't afford it and need it, give it to them, whatever. However you work that out. I mean, people should not be led to starve and die and in horrible pain and torture because they can't afford something. That's not what this country's about. It's what it's turning into. But I mean, all you have to do is, you know, what do you call it? Deny your citizenship. What? It's not. That's not the word I was thinking about. But give up your citizenship. Go to another country. Stay there for 2 weeks or so, and come back as an immigrant. I mean, I don't know. That probably would work out. In any case, this also from Natural News: solar power 24/7. China plans to build its first solar power station in space and beam power to the Earth. Well, you know what that is? You can see this advertisement right over here. It's changing on the live screen, but you know what that is? That's 5G. We're doing the same thing. Elon Musk, said, on what was it, 18 satellites, 28 satellites, something like that he put up there. Yeah, they're going to be collecting, this power from the sun's rays and then beaming it down into collectors and then distributing it as power that way. 5G. I mean, they've already admitted to these DEW weapons, these direct energy weapons, in any case. So now China's just doing it. And that's why everyone's in a hurry here. They want to break the ground on all this, make lots of money. We've heard representatives from Congress or whatever warn everybody that you stay out of the way because this is a lot of money and we will hurt you if you get in our way. We don't know what it does. We don't care what it does. We're not doing any data collection on it. We're just implementing it. Yeah. Talk about the curse of money, right? Google has merged with Big Pharma to become its own pharmaceutical company. Something I do not have news on, but I did know that was talked about today, and that is maybe breaking Google up. Because they took AT&T, they had a couple big companies that were basically, as far as the government was concerned, too big. Had a monopoly, and so they broke them up. I don't see how a government can do that, but in this case, I kind of hope it works out because maybe they'll wake up. I mean, Google is actually, they're going to do exactly what they want to do, and they don't care who it hurts, and they may even want to hurt somebody. In any case, they have a monopoly, and now going to side by side with Big Pharma, man, we're in trouble. They can do just about anything they want, which they do now, and it's just too bad for us. We are the slave class, and we will do whatever it takes to survive, right? Yeah, Big Pharma, Google. So while it might appear that it is just another manifestation of big tech's collusion with Big Pharma, which has deep pockets and thus plenty of influence, the truth is that Google has actually morphed into its own pharmaceutical conglomerate, which means it is now has a vested interest in censoring the truth about superfoods, dietary supplements, and other non-pharma approaches to healthy living that threaten drug vaccine profits. Yeah, it's all about the money. Yep. Big Pharma, Google, all about the money. They don't care. Yeah, they will definitely censor you if you're trying to, do a runaround around Big Pharma. You can't afford it. So you got to think of some other things. So maybe somebody comes up with something that does work, is cheaper, a lot cheaper, and is more healthy for you than taking these drugs with all these side effects. I mean, the side effects, some of them even have side effects that may cause death. But people are so fixated on, getting that, and I am too. I have to do as well. I mean, fixated on that pill to ease whatever woes or pains you got. And it's only temporary. Because then, then it gets you stuck and whatever you want to call it. And you have to keep getting it over and over and over again. And in the meantime, your liver is probably taking a whole lot of damage, and pretty soon, somewhere along the line, that's going to fail you, or some other organ from some other medicine that's going to fail you, or it's going to, like with a lot of people these days, give you all kinds of cancers. Yeah. And you know damn well that they have cures to cancers. Israeli scientists have come out and said on two occasions that they have cures for quite a number of these cancers. I mean, heck, that's why we got a big, list over there at stevequail.com, of all the doctors that have been eliminated or committed suicide, supposedly. One just recently, apparently was murdered in a cave somewhere in the middle of somewhere. Where did I hear that from? Actually, I might even have heard it on Rush Limbaugh's show, 5:60 a.m. In any case, yeah, there's nothing that's going to be benefiting you whatsoever. And if it does, they'll probably pull it off the market because it means that they're not making enough money on it. Yeah. This is from Free Thought Project. My last two articles are from their headlines here, but I'll just read you it. Government officials viewing and sharing child porn on DoD networks has gotten so bad that bipartisan legislation has been introduced to stop it. I'm trying to find out. It wasn't the headline. Oh, here we go. Hundreds of Pentagon officials caught running child porn network on these official DoD computers. Yeah, so that's what I'm telling you. Obviously, it's been coming out a lot. You find that people are being arrested for these pedophilias or this sex trafficking, human trafficking type deals, this Love Island, Epstein, and that they're trying to freaking tie Trump with too, because he knew this guy, I don't know, 20, 30 years ago. Yeah, most of your elites, I mean, they got so much money that it absolutely positively corrupts them in more ways than you could possibly imagine. And one of them is, to use humans, people that are apparently they think of lesser, quite a bit lesser, or of no value to you, only to be used for whatever reason they want. Very sick. Yeah. And this headline is, I guess, some kind of the same thing here. The title here is the serial child molester and abuser who abused over 24 children received just 30 days in jail as a man who helped people with a plant rots in a cage. Well, that was not what I read before. Hold on. So, they're talking about marijuana. Man. So the title actually is here, serial child molester, abuser, sentenced to 30 days as a man gets 4 years for 22 grams of weed. Yeah, 30 days for molesting children, period. Children, not just one. And this man, now that it's being made legal and other things beneficial, supposedly, gets 4 years for having 22 grams of it. In any case, Columbus, Ohio. Total injustice of any system. It's just, that's the way it is, because it's not of God. It's not from the Lord. It's from the liar, from the accuser. You know, that's who it's from. That's who runs this place. And so you're going to find things just totally upside down. Evil is good. Good is evil. And that's exactly where we are. And, you know, folks, with all these children coming up out of schools, I mean, I think I mentioned this last couple days ago, you know, coming out of this Common Core stuff and socialist brainwashing that are in their heads that they think they're entitled to have everything and anything whenever they want it now. That's the mentality that's coming up. I mean, you probably just have 5 to 10 years before this is all in that generation. It's going to be Sodom and Gomorrah everywhere. I mean, they're being taught, and you see these articles all the time. Parents are not being warned or asked for permission, teaching these young kids, sixth graders and even younger ones. I mean, they're taking these, you know, 5-year-olds and bringing them to, you know, what do you call them? Libraries where they can, you know, have a story read to them from transgenders who teach them that transgenderism is okay. And in these schools, they actually have classes to teach you certain things, these children, certain things. And you don't want to know what they are. I can, you know, I don't have to tell you, but they teach them these things. They actually have these classes. That it's okay to be whoever you are, whatever you want, day in, day out, whenever it feels, you know, like you want to change. They teach these kids, especially girls. They've been teaching girls of this age to how to put on condoms on a, I don't know if it was a blow-up doll or if it was a mannequin or whatever. But I heard that this was going on. I also heard that they were at least telling them. I don't know if they're showing them, but I'm sure they had cartoons. I've heard of them being put out there too for our younger generation. They were teaching these kids how to gratify one another and not feel guilty or that it's wrong. This is what they're being taught. And this 5 to 10 years, maybe sooner. These kids are going to grow up so messed up. I mean, there's a lot of them that are already messed up. You just, you know, if your parents, you got grandchildren like I do, try and talk to them as much as I can. Try and talk to your loved ones. Make sure what these things are going on. Make sure that if they are being taught and you're not being told, that you can at least, you know, tell them the truth. And after all, that's what we're seeking every day, the truth. And we are to do that. Seek the truth in everything. Let be upfront with your children. You don't have to lie to your children. Be truthful with them. There's ways that you can do without being so explicit, you know, so detailed. In any case, that's all we got tonight, folks. Already over the time. I don't know how I do that, man, but I do it. Seem to go for an hour, no matter if I even had 3 stories, it'd probably be an hour. I don't know. Some kind of clock inside me, I guess. So with that, everyone, God bless you. It's Wednesday, hump week. It's over. Now we're going into Thursday, back into the end part of it. So be blessed, everyone. Be good, be kind, be gentle, be loving, be caring, be patient. I pray for that every day because I know that, you know, sometimes too easily something can set us off. And so I pray for that every day. So at least I know that if I flew off the handle that 2 seconds, I can go make up for it. At least know that I did it and try and change again tomorrow. God bless everyone. Keep your family close. Know where they are. Peace out, everyone.